All right. What's up, ugly ass niggas? This your boy Jay Miles, and I am back with another video. Now, on today's video, we got a reaction video. I'm gonna be reacting to something that, first and foremost, I haven't seen this interview yet. I seen a very small part of it, like the very beginning of the introduction, and then I kind of seen on Dreamers Pro channel. Shout out to Dreamers Pro. Uh, I saw that he had the Skip Bayless called LeBron a bitch on Draymond Green's show in Draymond's face, and we all know how hard lately Draymond has been going for LeBron James. So I thought that had to have been hilarious. It was hilarious listening to it, and I was like, it got to be even more hilarious watching it. So I was like, yeah, let's do a reaction video to this interview. Now, the entirety of this video is pretty long, so I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to do the entire interview. I think the whole thing to this is about an hour 50 minutes, and that's awfully long. And of course, if I'm doing a reaction to it, it's going to turn out to be like a 3 hour long video. But perhaps I will, and maybe I always chop the videos up anyway, so you'll get it in small pieces anyway. But I just want to definitely react to this because I think this is going to be absolutely hilarious. And I think it's just a good thing to see Skip Bayless give his takes, to Draymond, because of course we know Draymond's new agenda since signing with Unclutch Sports is to glaze LeBron and just cap all the time for him. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it and see what they got for us.
Yes, sir. The Draymond Green show is posted. Draymond coming on.
Hey, it's great to be here. You and I have traded a couple of shots over the years here and there, and I just appreciate the opportunity to be face to face.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, when we were talking about the list of guests, Greg threw out some names, and your name was on there. I said, "There's no fucking chance Skip's going to do this." and
for you, anything.
And he came back. He said, yes, really fast. I said, that's my type of guy right there. Like, doesn't hide from anything, says what he feels.
In a way, we are cut from the same cloth.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Just don't give a fuck. Right?
Yeah, within reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just don't kick me or don't okay, right? Yeah.
That's why they gave us this much space. I can't reach. Before we get into the show, I have to ask.
Yeah.
How is your shoe game so crazy? Like it's unbelievable to me. Like what you be putting. You come with some heat today. That's why I went some regular shoes because I wanted you to know I wasn't competing.
Nobody on this planet loves Michael Jordan more than this guy sitting in this chair at this moment. And I am addicted to buying his because he is it. He is him. And my wife is sitting in the front row and she's like constantly saying, another pair? Where are we going to put them? They're multiplying, right? They like overnight we have 4 here and then there are 8 there. Oh, okay. So they're mating actually in my closet.
So is it the love for Michael Jordan or is it the love for just sneakers itself?
Seriously, it's Jordan. Okay. Because I had the privilege and the honor of being there in Chicago in that Last Dance season, 1998. And he weirdly, if I may say so, he liked me. And he didn't really care for the rest of the Chicago media. That was the vibe I got. But he'd return my calls. He'd take me aside. He's cut from, he's the fiercest, crazy.
I must say, that's actually a pretty big honor because, obviously I don't know Michael Jordan personally, but just hearing, stories about him. Michael Jordan don't like too many people. So like, for him to pick Skip as one of his friends, that he actually messed with, exchange numbers with, and actually talk basketball with him, I would assume. Got to be it kind of a high honor on Skip's, part.
Is most psycho competitor in the history of basketball. Do you know him some or well, or
I've met him a few times.
Okay.
I've talked to him on the phone a few times.
Good. All right. So I've never been in a force field like that force field. And I feel like if I have these on, I have a little piece of him to empower me tonight.
That's that like Mike shit right there, right? That's what they were saying. Like, like Mike, if I could be like Mike, I mean, obviously it tells you how powerful that shit is and how powerful that commercial is, because really I wasn't old enough to really know the fuck they were talking about when this shit came out. Like, hold on, did that shit come out when I was alive? See, that's the thing. I don't even know, but I know the commercial. It's great.
So I can stand up to you, right?
Well, what you'll see, Skip, is I am a lot different than I am on a basketball
You
court
are.
in real life, and I take pride in that.
You know what? If I may say so. Okay, so you've done some crazy things on the basketball court, right?
A few.
Okay, and yet your high IQ, defensively, the job you did. I just told Draymond this just before the show started, but the job you did on Victor Wembanyama the other night was extraordinary, because I give you 6'6", right? 6'6"ish
on a good day.
I know you're listed at 6'7", but he's like, but he's 7'9". I don't know what he is, but he's incredibly tall and long and skilled, and you did a remarkable high IQ basketball job on him, because you have been the defensive player of the year. I think you're 9 times first team all defense, and you're doing it with your brain, your IQ, your savvy, your tenacity, and sometimes on the basketball.
Really quick, this might be a controversial take. Probably I'm pretty sure the old heads won't agree with me. That's fine, but I actually say, because I remember when Draymond first came out and he was saying he believes he's the greatest defender of all time, right? Now, I know a lot of people jumped on him, right? Including some of my friends and stuff. They were talking about it. They were like, Draymond tripping, you're not even the best defender of your era, and stuff like that, right? Now, do I personally believe he's the greatest defender of all time? No, I do not. But I will give him this. For all the old heads, you got to consider, y'all saying, oh, they don't even play defense anymore. They do this, they do that. I get it. But you have to also consider that back then they were allowed to hand check. There was no such thing as freedom of movement. You were allowed to, muscle them up, rough them up some, and you were allowed to, there was no such thing as 3 seconds in the paint. So the centers were allowed to rest down low to be able to protect the basket and stuff like that, right? Now, granted, they can do zone defense now, which they couldn't do during Michael Jordan and them time. But what I'm saying is, the same way we discredit the offensive players for saying, oh, they're only scoring this amount because of the rules, which is true. Like Adam Silver himself admitted that he implemented the rule change so that the players, offensive players, could score more. So that's the reason why we get this big spread of multiple players scoring 25 plus points per game. It's not because they're better and they're more skilled, like some of the people that's even younger than me are manipulated to believe. It's because it's easier to score. But on the flip side, you have to also admit, since it's easier to score, it must be harder to defend, right? So I just wanted to give Draymond a little bit of credit when it comes to that. There's no way. You can't have it both ways. You can't say it's harder to defend and harder to, and it's easier to score. It don't go together. So if it's easier to score, which I believe it is, the numbers prove that it is, then it must automatically be harder to defend.
Court, you compete so hard that to gain an edge, you go a little over the edge. Yet that never sticks with you. You don't have the reputation. Nobody thinks you're a goon because I can see now you're not. You're very likable and charming and charismatic off the basketball court, and it cancels that out in a crazy great way that allows you. You're the best podcaster of all the athletes. You have obviously a second career awaiting you whenever you so desire to pursue it full time, and it's going to be a great one because God was good. God gave you this other. You're a split personality, but on the basketball court, I consider you the ultimate overachiever, where you weren't given the most explosive athletic ability, but you're still really gifted, obviously, in many, many ways. And you weren't the greatest shooter or this or that, but can you? Well, Steve Kerr always says, I don't have 4 rings without him. Well, he doesn't. And neither does Steph, and neither does anybody else on that team. So the beauty of it is that you can leave that behind and step off the floor and be incredibly charming. And I've been doing this a long time, and I've never encountered that kind of a shocking dichotomy of human being where, wait, that guy did that. I can go on YouTube and see this compilation of cheap shot sort of clips, but it's how you compete, and that team is a finesse back.
And I love him for that. I'm sorry about stopping it a lot, people. I'm trying not to do it as much, but I've said it before. I actually am a Draymond Green fan. I don't like that he got this new thing where he's kind of, taking up for and glazing LeBron a little bit. I don't like that. But overall, him on the floor, I love what he brings because I always feel like you need those type of guys to win championships, at least to form a dynasty. If you go and look at all the great dynasties, they had a player similar to Draymond on their team. Now, I'll just go back a few years. Just, teams that won at least 2 titles. Let's say that, right? So the most recent one would be Golden State themselves, right? They won 4 titles. Draymond was that guy. Then you go to the next after that would be the Spurs. They won 5 titles. They had Bruce Bowen. He was kind of the Draymond-like guy on their team that was dirty, tough defender, could defend well. Then you also had, the Miami Heat with LeBron and Wade and Bosh. They won 2 titles, right? They had Haslam and Birdman. Those 2 was those guys for them. And then before them, if I can think, who else won? So the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. That's kind of getting, this is like a little bit before I was deeply watching basketball. But let me think if they have. Well, somebody in the comment section can let me know. I'm pretty sure they have one. Like, I'm familiar with certain players on their team, but to say that they were like, hold on, but I missed one. Kobe. So Kobe and the Kobe and Pau Gasol Lakers. See, I'm more familiar with them because I started actively really watching basketball around 04, 05. So, the Shaq and Kobe was a little bit before I watched some of them, but that was like a little bit before I was deeply watching basketball, like almost every game I'm watching. You feel me? So, but yeah, the Kobe and Gasol Lakers, Bynum kind of was that guy for them. Bynum was a little, and then of course later they got Ron Artest. Actually Ron Artest was part of both championships. So yeah, he was that guy. Sorry. So he was the guy for them. Tough, great defender, would do the dirty work if needed be. So y'all getting what I'm saying now. Typically, if they were a team that was a franchise, they had that. We can go back as far as Michael Jordan. Dennis Rodman was that guy, the second three-peat. The first three-peat, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. But, of course, the Detroit Pistons had it. Everybody know about Dumars and how dirty he was. My point is everybody had it. So, for the people that look strictly at stats, like people that try to say Draymond is trash, Mr. Triple Single, all the stupid shit that they say, what Draymond does is very essential. It's very important. Because like they said, you don't get 4 titles without Draymond. He was the guy that if an offensive player on the opposite side of the court was starting to go off, Draymond would come touch him up a little bit. Hey, chill that shit out with that nigga. Put some fear in their heart a little bit. And then you actually would see a lot of these players slow down after that. Like, damn, I don't want Draymond to, it's mental with him. And unfortunately, he did the same thing to his teammate. So it's counterproductive kind of in this situation when he punched Jordan Poole. It was the same shit. He was like, damn, bro. Everybody talking about how Draymond knocked me out, and then certain things, let's say you trying to do something on the court, accomplish something on the court, and you like, damn, I don't want to piss Draymond off. And then on Draymond's side of it, you're like, damn, I need to be hard on the guys to get us ready to what it takes to win. But at the same time, I got that thorn in my side of people watching me saying, oh, he punched Jordan Poole. Oh, what, he gonna punch, let's say GP2 next, or now he can't fully embrace his role of what he brings to the table so that they could be a championship team. And I believe that affected them heavily in 2023.
Basketball team, and it was from the start, and it needed a little edge. It needed somebody to enforce. And I don't consider you like the classic, Maurice Lucas Oakley sort of, like not that kind. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're a two-fisted enforcer, but somebody has to provide a little physicality.
Absolutely.
And somebody has to say, we won't back down. And somebody has to say, I'm going to set a tone tonight that says, we are coming for you, and we're not going to give you anything easy. Mm-hmm. And you don't give anybody anything easy. And if it gets push comes to shove, maybe you'll push it a little bit over the edge. Mm-hmm. And it works. And the reason I jumped at the opportunity is because I appreciate basketball at the highest level, at its essence. And you are the essence of how to play basketball the right way, and then some wrong way, but the right way. But that is the God's truth about you. You have such redeeming value because you stayed all 4 years in college. Mm-hmm. That's usually a sign, well, you're not like the next superstar, right? Mm-hmm. And then you were an early second round pick, but you were a second round pick.
Yes, sir.
And look at you now. You are, okay, so this is the crazy thing about this man. He's averaged for his career, I think it's 9, 7, and 6. 9 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. And he is a first ballot Hall of Famer okay, so think about that.
Thank you.
Okay, but has that ever, I'm not blowing smoke at you. I'm just telling you the God's truth. That's never happened before. Nobody with those numbers would ever even sniff the Basketball Hall of Fame, and you're first ballot because there's so much more you do beyond that.
Right.
And, I think about, I still haven't recovered from the Game 7 in 2016 at your place because you had your best year that year by far. I think you were 14-10.
Yes, sir.
And shot 39% from three, which is not always your way.
Yeah.
And then in Game 7, again, I was rooting against LeBron and company to come back. Obviously, we can talk about that, but you go crazy. You have the game of your life. You go 32, 15, and 9 or
Yes,
right?
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And made 6 out of 8 threes. You made 6 out of 8. And I think you 11 of 15 from the floor. Yes, correct?
Yes,
okay,
that's elite, Skip. That's elite knowledge right there.
Hey,
I like that.
Okay, so think about this. You're at home, Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and you have a first ballot Hall of Famer kind of performance and output. And unfortunately, your star, Steph, had a bad fourth quarter. He goes 1 of 6 from the floor and 1 of 5 from 3, not Steph Curry-like numbers, and it just wasn't good enough. And he had a bad turnover that he just threw it in the third row, and it wasn't quite enough. And it still goes down to the wire, and Kyrie finally said, okay, that's enough of that. I got this.
Tough shot.
Okay, and he made a shot. But what got lost in translation was that I always think about this. You had the game of, wouldn't you say, is that not game of life?
No, for sure. And I think on that stage as well, right?
Yeah.
Like Game 7 of the NBA Finals for all the marbles. Also with what transpired leading up to it, right? Like I think in going into that, like that's just my way of making it right. Like I got to go out here.
Well, you did because you obviously got suspended for Game 4,
Game 5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is my chance to make it right. Like I don't want to lose this series. Let them come back 3-1, all the things. Game 5. So how do I make this right? And I knew I needed to play well. Now, can I foresee going out there and going 6 for 8 from 3? No, not really. Or finishing with 32 points. I can see the 15 boards, 9 assists, no problem.
Absolutely.
With 32 points, that hasn't been my role on this team.
No,
like I don't have a play. There's not a single play in our playbook for me to score. So
I understand. I got it. I got it.
I can't foresee going for the 32 points.
And I remember one Saturday night, real quick digression. This is going back a ways. You were at Oklahoma City against Durant and company, and you just lost it at halftime in the locker room. Like, well, do you guys even want me out there or not?
Yes.
Do I have a place or do I not have a place on this team?
Absolutely.
Right?
And I was like, I took 2 shots in the first half. I had 9 rebounds, 8 assists at halftime, 0 for 2 from the field, 1 point. I was 1 for 2 from the free throw line. And he showed both of the shots on film. It was like, Draymond, dude, I took 2 shots. You going to show them both? And so, for me,
I didn't know
what happened.
Yeah, so that's when I lost. I'm like, I took 2 shots. You're going to tell me they were both bad shots? I'm wide open at the top of the key, and I lost it. I was pissed. But that goes to show, right? Like there's no place for me to score in our offense. So then when I scored that game like that, but like I said, I knew in that moment, I got to do whatever I have to do for us to win. That score, I'm going to go score. If it's rebound, whatever it is, I have to do all that I can to win.
Yeah.
Because if we lose, it's still all going to be my fault.
It would be. Yeah.
And so how do I fix the problem?
Yeah.
It's come out and play great. Unfortunately, it's one of probably the better Game 7s, especially in the NBA Finals that we've ever seen, that no one remembers.
I agree.
How I look at it, though, Skip, well-deserved and rightfully so. You don't just get to fix it.
Okay.
You don't.
You think the basketball gods had something to do with it?
1,000%.
Okay.
You don't
All
get to just go out and say, "Oh, now I'm going to play a great game and make this right." It like that's not life. It doesn't go that way.
Okay.
Right? When I look at my journey through basketball, what an NBA Finals MVP would have done for me in my career, my resume, and like what it would have done for the rest of my life. Would have been life changing.
You would have had it.
Right?
You're one shot away from MVP.
But guess what? Was that the change that I really needed in my life? You know, and so when I take a step back and I look at it, as frustrating as it is, as big of a what if as it is, I live so comfortably with it because I know it wasn't the thing for me.
Okay.
What happens to us if I win Finals MVP? What happens in 2017? What happens in 2018? Am I still on that team in 2026? You know, like it changes the landscape of everything. Okay. It changes how much money I'm going to command. It changes all of these things, right? And so it's very easy to sit there and say, man, I should have this Finals MVP and what it would have done for me in my career. But we very rarely as human beings do we look at the other side and say, well, what was the impact?
Well, now that he put it like that, yeah, I can argue that them winning could have absolutely hurt Draymond's resume. Now, hear me out. Basically, let's say they won that game. Draymond had a high percent chance of winning that Finals MVP. He probably would have won it, right? So, sure, he have a Finals MVP on his resume, which is great for his career, right? And also, he probably would have been able to ask for more money since he's a Finals MVP now. But I think he got that more so. Let's be real. We all know he got that because of being on the floor with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. All the attention was on them, so Draymond were able to get wide open threes. And granted, you know, to him, he made them. But let's say, okay, I'm in Finals MVP now. Instead of the $20 million a year that he's getting, let's say his agent negotiate like, nah, my client is a Finals MVP. He wants $30 million per year. And, you know, that's kind of what he was saying. Is he still on the same team? Because, you know, let's say maybe Golden State would have said, nah, we're not paying you that. Let's just say that they would say that, right? Now he goes to another team. Or let's say the Toronto Raptors was willing to pay him that, right? I can make a strong argument that he may get exposed there because Draymond is a complementary, piece. He's a piece that complements another player. Like he complements Steph Curry very well. As great as Steph Curry is, Draymond enhances him so much to make him even greater than what he is. That's how effective Draymond game is. However, you send him to a team that's not very good. They don't have a weapon like Steph Curry. They don't have weapons like Klay Thompson or whatever on there. He's not going to change the game for them as much because, the pieces have to fit. So let's just say if something like that happens, he only gets 2 rings instead of 4. He may could still squeeze out a defensive player of the year, maybe. But I would say even that would be harder to get because you're in a smaller market now and they're not paying as much attention to you. So that plays a factor. And then let's just say his career goes downhill after that. That's very much a possibility if Golden State won that title that year.
Act on all the good that's happened to me in my life since that moment.
Well said.
If I didn't go through that at that time. And so I accept it, as frustrating as it is, as much as I would want that on my resume as my belt, as validating of a stamp as that would be, it didn't fit the journey that I've been on.
I love you saying that.
It didn't fit it.
And embracing that.
So,
that's probably true. And I must say, if you'll allow me to, that when you did lose it for a moment in game 4 and you did get suspended for game 5, you became my all-time hero because you got mad at LeBron and you called him a bitch. And I said, that's my guy right there. And he can be occasionally a bitch, but that's just me. Okay.
Well, that's my brother.
I understand. And he is, and I got it.
That's my brother. And it's actually one of the moments I regret.
Okay.
Because when I use that word with people, I'll pull it out every now and then on the court. But when I pull that word out, like I'm ready to fight.
I understand.
So all that is a classic Draymond Green. Okay, let me remembering that he's on the Clutch Sports payroll. That's all that is. The moment he heard that shit, he said, "Oh shit!" Even though this is true, I have to defend LeBron. That's instantly what went through his head when he heard that shit. I'm telling you guys, he knew that shit was funny. And let's be real, we don't see LeBron do some crazy shit on the court, like childish, toddler-ish tantrums on the court that you would deem bitch-like, which is what Skip Bayless is alluding to, right? So after that, Draymond was like, nah, I got to say something, man. I got to defend them. So I think I'm going to pretty much cut it off here, people, because like I told you, this shit is very long. But I definitely wanted to react to that. So I'm glad that the part came kind of earlier in the interview. And I'll, go ahead and watch the full thing on my own, but you guys don't want to sit here and watch me react to this entire interview. And of course, if you want to take a look at it yourself, you can always watch it on Draymond Green's podcast. And I'm not sure, Skip Bayless may have it on his as well. So, you can watch the full thing on either one of them's platform. But anyways, appreciate you ugly ass niggas for coming and, hearing me out on this another reaction video. So like usual, if you're cool with me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, leave a like, comment, let me know what you think. But most importantly, make sure you share it with your glad friends. But until the next video, I'm out.